What's up everyone, how's it going? So Instant Action was one of the most highly requested modes to come for Star Wars Battlefront 2, and finally the developers did add it as the main single player offline mode. And while I really do love playing it, unfortunately there just seems to be a lot of limitations to it in terms of what the mode has to offer, and in this video I have a huge list of a bunch of things that DICE could easily add to this game mode that could make it a million times better. And I even asked you guys over on Twitter and you all gave me some really good ideas, so I thank you all for some of the help on that. But let's get started with the first thing on my list, and that is playable Starfighters. I'm sure you all have seen the whole Save Starfighter Assault thing going around the Battlefront community, as it does seem like DICE has somewhat given up on the mode. But it could also be because Criterion, the company that actually made the mode itself and how the Starfighters work and all that, actually are working on other projects instead of Battlefront. So that is probably more likely the reason why we haven't really gotten any content for it. But that's just speculation. I could be wrong on that. But I was really disappointed to see whenever Instant Action did come to the game that there were no Starfighters at all. I think it's a huge core part of Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I absolutely love playing as them. But the fact that they were just left out in Instant Action really had me disappointed, like I said. And so I think it would be great to have, let's say, maybe 10 extra AI on each side flying around in Starfighters on the Battlefront, if that would be possible. I know that the console versions of this game cannot hold that many bots, so maybe on the PC version they could have that. I would still be okay with that. But say for the console version, they could also allow you to just use the Starfighters, but there would be no AI Starfighters, so you can just go doing strafe runs and stuff. I think the community would be pretty happy for that. I could have sworn that Ben Walk did say somewhere that the Starfighters were being discussed with the team over at DICE, but again, I'm not 100% sure on that, so just take that with a grain of salt. But overall, yeah, Starfighters, they definitely should be added as they're like a huge part of Battlefront. So next up, I want to talk about customization options, and there's just a ton of different things I could see them adding for this. My main one would be cross-era heroes. It is disappointing that in an offline mode where you do whatever you want, it sucks that you are limited to the heroes that are in that era of the map you are playing on, and I wouldn't think it'd be too hard for DICE to allow you to play as cross-era heroes, as back when Instant Action first launched, a modder actually was able to add that feature in, and so I'm sure that DICE could do that as well. Also, another thing would be more mode options, so it'd be really cool to see like a free-for-all mode, or even heroes versus heroes mode, heroes versus villains. I mean, there's just a ton of different customization options that I think they really are missing out on, and I do hope they look into it at some point. And while we are on the topic of customization, I've always had the thought that a custom era selector would be a really great addition to the offline modes. So for an example, that could be like the clones fighting the Empire over on Kamino, or the Empire up against the First Order on Naboo, or just something crazy that is not canon at all. But since it is in offline mode, I feel like you should have complete customization over what happens in the game. And there's just so many amazing planets that are featured in this game, but they're limited to one era only, which is really disappointing. And the original Battlefront games, on a lot of the maps, you actually had the option to play either in the Clone Wars or the Empire or Rebellion age on many of the same maps, like I said. So I feel like this feature would be really great. Just allow us to make custom matches and have our own choices on everything. And next up, I want to talk about another feature that I am surprised really that was not added, and that is simply a playlist creator. I always compare this to the old games, and one of the things that I really liked about it is you could just add your playlist. You could have up to like 25 maps or something on one playlist, and you could have it in a random order or a custom order. And then basically, once you finish the first match, then you go to the next one, and then the next one, and it was just a really great way to have the modes consistently going, because you didn't have to go back to the main menu. It would just automatically start the next match. So I think this would be a really cool addition as well. And then this next one actually comes from one of my Twitter followers whose name is McClunky466, and he had actually a really great idea that once again comes from the classic games, and that is going to be just added objectives to each map, or at least some of the maps, to add some variety and uniqueness to them. And examples of these could be like the shield generator on Hoth, or one thing that I would really love is the Techno Union ships to be destroyable on Geonosis. And by the way, speaking of Geonosis, I am really hoping DICE decides to add the Galactic Assault variant of Geonosis to Instant Action, as it is by far my favorite map in the game, but unfortunately it's only available on Heroes vs. Villains and then Galactic Assault, and not Capital Supremacy or any of the other modes that I really enjoy playing. So DICE, if one of you are watching this, I would really love Galactic Assault Geonosis to be added to these offline modes, as yes, I do love the Capital Supremacy version, it's fun, but the original Galactic Assault one just feels a lot more like the planet that you see in Attack of the Clones, and overall I just enjoy it more in the look of it and the layout of it. But yeah, I know that's a little bit off topic, but at the same time it's still about Instant Action. But back to the main topic, having added objectives as just kind of bonus things you can do while playing is a really great idea, and I do think it'd be something that DICE should definitely look into, as say you do take out all the Techno Union ships on Geonosis, that would end the match rather than capturing the command posts. Like I said, it was in the original Battlefront games, and they were really fun to do. And my final thing on this list is sort of about private matches in a way, and this would be to have the ability to invite your friends from online to your custom matches. This would basically work just like a private match, but unfortunately DICE have said that they aren't really looking into private matches for Battlefront 2, which does suck because I think they could be a lot of fun, especially when it comes to Instant Action, and if they do add all these extra customization options, it could make for some really great gameplay, and you could just have unique modes, and especially for YouTubers, they can make unique videos and stuff on like hide and seek, or you know, just random stuff in general. And I know I did say that that was the last thing, but there's actually one more quick thing, and that is that I feel like there's a lot of maps missing from multiplayer mode that could be added to Instant Action. Some that are on the top of my head are Starkiller Base, Crate, the interior capital ships. They could easily add command posts to those, and there's just a lot of other maps like the one that I said earlier, the Trippa Hive map, which is the Galactic Assault Geonosis, and just different variants of the planets themselves. So I am hoping DICE doesn't leave these great maps out for the offline mode, especially for when the game does get discontinued support and that the online modes no longer work. It would be a shame to know that you would no longer be able to ever play on Starkiller Base or Geonosis or Crate or any of those maps. So overall, I really think that these additions would make Instant Action a million times better. Like I said earlier, I still really enjoy the mode, but there's just a lot of limitations, and I feel like it has so much more to offer for it. So hopefully someone at DICE is watching it, and they can actually send in some of these requests feedback to the team, and maybe they will actually add some of this stuff in the future. But go ahead and comment down below what you guys thought about all of my ideas for Instant Action, and also what things would you guys like to be added for this mode. I'm sure there's plenty of things that I missed. Just go ahead and comment down below. But that is pretty much going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. As always, if you did, be sure and leave a like, as it really helps out the channel a lot. And if you're new, subscribe for more Star Wars news, gameplay, and more. And I'll hopefully see you in the next one.